Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we will be discussing a few topics. The first topic to open up is Afghanistan. This past week, actually, Pakistan Taliban has attacked the American supply routes from Pakistan supplying the American troops in Afghanistan 6 times in 2 weeks, which the word out there is basically the American soldiers there are short of supplies, like 50%. The Afghani or the Pakistani Taliban actually are they're bombing the heck out of supply routes going from Pakistan to Afghanistan, and that's creating a huge problem. Isn't it ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen, that after 9 years, the United States still stuck in Afghanistan, and there is no end that we can see soon unless the United States actually, which the United States is trying to open up channels with the Taliban to end this war. The question is, what was this war for? Just as the question, what was the Iraqi war for? Are we safer now after 9 years? Do they like us better? Because George Bush said that they hate us because of our freedoms. So do they like us now better? Well, I think history would have to answer this question, but very much you know what the answer to that question is. We are going to end up, actually the United States government is going to end up negotiating with the Taliban some sort of an end to this war. Some in the Taliban leadership actually wanted to talk to the United States, but many are not. And the problem the United States is facing, that Taliban in Afghanistan, they are not all listening to one leader. Basically, you have to convince many leaders that you do want an end to this war and you do want to see a way out. Unfortunately, we are not safer than 9 years ago, or we're probably safer. We've probably never been in danger. Of course, as you know, we still tracking 9/11 and hoping that 9/11 one day will be solved, to see if the million Iraqis who were killed by the United States actually were killed because of 9/11. And even though Iraqis did not commit 9/11, it's confusing and it's complicated. But that's where we at. Well, Afghanistan is not really the main topic with us today. The main topic is this Islamophobia. Where did it come from? The hating the Muslims thing and hating Islam, and it's something that is actually growing, and it's just like wildfire. When you start something, it's really hard to stop it, and it's really hard to end it. And unfortunately, that those things, when they start, they normally end with tragic events and tragic results. We're going to actually show you where did this all come from. We are going to concentrate on 2, even though there were hundreds out there who are doing the same thing every day since 9/11. Until now, they're very much still doing the same thing. But we are going to basically tell you what who these people were, a couple of them. And they're still out there. They're still doing the same thing, but you're going to see exactly how this Islamophobia started. The third thing we will be speaking about, actually, what is happening in Palestine. We've told you about these settlers or these thugs that are basically taking Palestinian homes, and not just taking Palestinian homes, but they're actually burning their homes, burning their mosques, and burning Palestinian olive groves, as we see in those pictures. And We will be talking about this in more detail and show you a couple of videos regarding this subject. And, well, the first thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the, and we also have, speaking about the Israelis, the humiliation that the Palestinians go through. No one goes through, and unfortunately, the world is not seeing those things. And we're going to show you a horrible video that came out of Palestine, where an Israeli soldier is actually dancing around a female Palestinian prisoner in a very humiliating setting. But that's what an occupation army is, ladies and gentlemen. And this occupation army has been there for 62 years now. Okay, first thing, and of course we do welcome your phone calls and your comments. But let's get into Islamophobia. Before 9/11, most of you did not even hear about Muslims and Islam. And if you did, you probably did not know much about it. But now, 9 years later, I doubt if there is anyone out there who has not heard of Muslims or Islam or the religion of Islam. And no doubt that due to the way the media, and we've explained to you many times how the media actually programs you to believe in their agenda, in those behind the media, those who are controlling the media, those who are paying for the media, actually regardless if they are the owners of those media outlets or the advertisers. And in many cases, the lines do cross over there, where some of the advertisers actually own part of those networks. And therefore, the agenda is the agenda of those who control these networks and control the money being channeled to the networks. And after all, it is nothing but a fight over your brains, a fight over your opinions, and a fight mainly over your emotions, because you happen to be a human being who better thinks with his emotions than with his logic and with his reasoning and with his brain's ability. That's, nothing to take it personally, but that's how human beings are. They are an emotional being more than they are a logical or a reasoning being. And so having said that, they play on your emotions, because if you really stop and think about what they're saying, but they expect you not to stop, though. They expect your emotions, because they trigger, the way they program the media is they program it just like they're doing an advertisement, just like, an ad. They spend hours and hours and hours, and every part of a second is well designed and well thought of. The images you see, the way they say it, the way they talk about it. And the same goes with all these people that you see on TV, the way they say it, what they say, and how good are they in saying it. Normally, it affects you emotionally than it does, and psychologically, than it does logically. And you never stop and think about what you are seeing. But the bunch that I'm talking about is basically and you know their names. You hear from them almost every day. It's the Sean Hannity, the Rush Limbaugh, the Glenn Beck, the Bill O'Reilly, and everybody on Fox Network very much. And along with that, you can add everybody on CNN and everybody on ABC and everything else, all the other media. But two in particular that we are going to concentrate on. Now, we're going to show you a couple of videos. These are not new videos. They've been probably about 3 years out. But what you are going to see is actually things that you have seen many times over and over and over again from watching these people every day on television. They have been doing nothing, especially Glenn Beck. Now, we're going to concentrate on Glenn Beck because Glenn Beck is a tool, is a media tool that the powers that be are using him. Now, they're using everybody else, but they're using this little guy because he was new after 9/11 on the national scene. And very much he was the thug, the newest thug on the block. And people liked the way he talked because, you know, with all these media and all the networks, the programs, the television programs that you see, excuse me, the television programs that you see with these reality shows, now you never know what is reality and what is acting and what is entertainment. And definitely Glenn Beck, when he first started, he was more the screaming type, and he was more the shouting type, and that was very much, well, and he was a younger guy, so they thought they're going to grab a bunch of younger brains by bringing Glenn Beck, which they probably did. Like I said, everything they do is calculated very, very well. Now, Glenn Beck started, and as a matter of fact, I mean, he did say that Muslims, when he was on CNN, he did say death to Muslims, and that one, it passed by like nothing. And then from CNN he went to Fox. What we're going to show you, the first video you're going to see is Ann Coulter speaking about Muslims, and there's nothing really particular about what she's going to say, except the kind of things that Ann Coulter have said over the 9 years after 9/11, and how people accepted her in many circles. And also Glenn Beck, he's still out there, of course more than Ann Coulter is, and he's more popular, except he wasn't really that popular last week in New Jersey at a rally, which he gets paid about $100,000 just to show up at one of his rallies. And probably they had rented a museum, not a museum, a stadium for him. Stadium that actually housed about 8,000 people, and they thought they were going to have a standing room. Well, only about 800 people showed up. So that tells you that Glenn Beck is his popularity, and more people probably are seeing through these people, but still the vast majority of people out there, they still don't see through these people, and these are their idols, and these are the people who they take information from, and they form their opinions regarding other people and regarding issues in the country from the likes of Glenn Beck and Ann Coulter. And so listen to what they're saying. Like I said, we're not going to discuss exactly what was said and what was said, because it was said like 3 years ago, but this is what you have. This is a sample of what you have been subjected to in the last 9 years. Let's do it. And watch the beginning of the Ann Coulter. I think she does something there that is interesting.
Regarding all your air travel, you stated 6 of March.
Right there. Yep. I think she flashed that guy in front of her. Okay.
From Minneapolis and Phoenix are calling on Muslims to boycott the airline. If only we could get Muslims to boycott all airlines, we could dispense with airport security altogether.
That's when you realize you're really in trouble. We are up against an enemy with no sense of irony. So next, you know, all New York City cab drivers, that's it, we've had it. We're going to start bathing. No, that won't work. No. And I did have some, I mean, I thought the airline, I think it was Northwest Airlines, and, you know, I said they should start advertising. More civil rights lawsuits brought against us by Arabs than any other airline. I give you the New York City civilian trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. What does Eric Holder say in that speech? Because it was to impress the rest of the world. You know, I mean, I can't understand that trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed be coming to a courthouse near you. It is so unbelievable. I keep thinking I must be misunderstanding something. They can't be this stupid. One guy who is that stupid is apparently Senator Jack Reed. I saw him being interviewed yesterday on the Chris Wallace show, Democrat senator. He followed Rudy Giuliani, who was magnificent in the interview, I might add. And Chris Wallace asked him, Senator Reed, the perfectly reasonable question, well, what happens if they get acquitted? And Senator Reed said, oh, well, we're not going to let them go. They're too dangerous.
Okay, stop it right there. Okay, now, if you noticed, I mean, she's talking about the, you can come back to me now. She's talking about the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. You guys going to come back to me? Thank you. Okay. You know, she's talking about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and for those of you who don't know who Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is, he is the guy that, you know, they show you that he was the mastermind behind 9/11. And now for 3 years, now they arrested him right after 9/11, and for 3 years the CIA had him. You did not hear about him. You never knew what was happening with him, but you knew they arrested him. 3 years later, they sent him down to Guantanamo Bay. And what she's talking about is when Obama got in power, what they wanted to do is basically try this guy in a civilian court. And that's what she is mocking, and that's what she is actually. And you know what? We need to demand that these people are tried in a civilian court. You know why they don't want to try them in a civilian court? Because the truth is going to come out in court. That's why. And they're mocking this, and they're making that, oh yeah, you want to try him, as if he was going to be dangerous if you send him to court, to civilian court, where judges who are not being paid by the Pentagon will be actually judging this person. Put him on a trial. What are you afraid of? The truth. That's what you are afraid of. But you know, when you listen to Ann Coulter speaking, you're not going to think the way I'm thinking. You're going to go, oh yeah, that's kind of stupid. Bring him. Because the way she's talking, her tone of voice, her demeanor, when she's saying those things and what she's saying, right away you are being programmed to actually mock the idea of having this Khalid Sheikh Mohammed actually being tried in court. You know, one of the things that I always remember about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is when they had him at first, when they said that he had testified that he actually masterminded 9/11, and he was planning to do other devastating blows in the United States. And they said that one of the installations and one of the buildings that he actually wanted to blow up is something called the Plaza Bank, and in Washington State. Only the Plaza Bank was opened up in 2006, and the guy was already in their custody when the bank opened up. So they missed that one, and after that you did not hear much about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or what he said. But I say put him on trial. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you. He doesn't seem to grasp what this means to move a terrorist to a civilian trial in New York City. And all these liberals, I mean, it's weird how they're acting like they're the macho ones. We want to bring this guy to justice. People keep saying Holder must be confident. I think their plan is either we get a conviction and everyone thinks we're macho, or we blame the fact that we couldn't get a conviction on those damn Bushies with their... What happened immediately after 9/11? All the mainstream media is rushing, because the primary victims of 9/11 were all the Muslims, because people might look at them funny. They might get a dyspeptic glance on the subway. So let's rush in and stop that. Yeah, okay, we know there are Muslims who aren't terrorists. Fine, that isn't the point. When you're talking about how to prevent the next terrorist attack, I fly a lot. My bête noire is airport security, and it is so completely insane. And what Norman Mineta and every Secretary of Transportation has said since then, with no one, at least within the administration, disputing, is that we will not consider ethnicity. We will not even put that on the table. I mean, it's not as if they always claim, oh, it won't work. Well, but you guys excluded it before looking at whether it would work, because I think it might work a little bit. It might help you at some point of the screening. But no, because of political correctness, because Muslims are a liberal victim, we can't even consider that for airport security. And I mean, that is the sort of situation that quote is very appropriate for. That isn't saying that all Muslims are terrorists, but it is saying that all terrorists are Muslims, and all the terrorists we need to be worried about.
Tonight's exclusive.
No,
in 10 years.
Stop it. Okay. Now, she did play nothing but emotions. She didn't give you any facts. Now, we're not really analyzing what she said this time, but this is Ann Coulter every time. You've seen her on Fox Network, especially not after 9/11. She was on it every night. Now, I see her a lot. She still goes there, but I don't see her as often as she was. But she did nothing but played on your emotions. She tickled your funny bone and other bones. And she very much, you know, the whole thing about what she said is nothing but emotional. She played on your emotional fears that, oh yeah, bring a trial to New York City. What's wrong with bringing a trial to New York City? Don't we believe in our justice system? Then let's not bring any trial to any court in the United States, because it is not sufficient enough to handle a case like that. What? It cannot handle, our court system cannot handle cases of that magnitude? So if we have a big case, where do we go? To Mars? Or do we go to Guantanamo to solve it? And everything she said, it built subconsciously. It was going straight to your head, because, you know, you're looking at Ann Coulter. She is the blonde. She is the cute. She is this and she is that. And you accepted everything she said, and it went directly into the back of your head. And you started right away feeling, and every day you hearing stuff like this from Ann Coulter. Well, heck, you're an emotional being. You are going to hate Muslims and look at Islam and Muslims the way you do. I don't blame you. Well, I do. I'll take that back, because you're supposed to be an intelligent human being, not just an emotional human being. Because, you know, cats and dogs can be emotional too. They can think. But I'm hoping that you can think better than cats and dogs. But let's go ahead and continue with the same kind of things and kind of the same thoughts with Glenn Beck. Let's go.
Muslims and Arabs will be looking through a razor wire fence at the West. Here's how we got there. Recently, the first Muslim to be crowned Miss England warned that stereotyping...
Remember, this is an old thing. This is an old video.
...other Muslims towards extremism and terrorism. She said, quote, "Even moderate Muslims are turning to terrorism to prove themselves. They think they might as well support it because they're stereotyped that way anyway," end quote. Thanks for the insightful geopolitical analysis, teenage beauty queen.
Okay, stop it.
Let's just say...
All right. Look at this dummy. Now, how many times did we hear from beauty queens and how good they are up here? So he gets something that a Muslim beauty queen, who is, I guess, Miss UK or something, for that year when he did this, she said something stupid, and it's like beauty queens. I mean, we've seen many beauty queens who will just mumble. At least this one, she made a complete sentence. Most of them, they don't. But he didn't bring her here to mock her and make fun of her. He brought her here to make a case for all Muslims. As if, look at those people. All of them are turning into terrorism, even the moderate of them. Even though I still say, what the heck is terrorism? Who are these people? What is terrorism anyway? Is killing civilians terrorism? Well, how many civilians did the United States kill in Iraq and Afghanistan? Oh, no. Those were killed by people in uniform. And therefore, and they're flying a flag. So that's not terrorism. It doesn't count. Yeah. Does it really matter how people die? Let's go.
Profiled as a pedophile. And every time I went to Disney World, the Disney police would stop me and say, "Ah, you, not so much." Here's what I would do. I'd be annoyed. I'd probably stop going to Disney World, and I might even start hanging out with other people who are having the same kind of problem, provided they weren't actual pedophiles. I wouldn't, however, ever say to myself, oh, you know what? I mean, everybody thinks I'm a pedophile anyway. I might as well start downloading child porn and molesting kids. Why wouldn't I do that? Because I'm not an actual pedophile or child molester. But according to Miss England's logic, I'd be perfectly justified in doing so. This is a great example of why, I think, since 9/11, Americans have gotten so fed up with the yes, but Muslims. The yes, but Muslims are the ones who show up on talk shows and in the media and say, yes, terrorism is bad, but... And then they go through a list of reasons on why we should try and sympathize with people who fly planes into buildings. I also hear a lot about Islam being a religion of peace, that terrorists aren't true Muslims. Fine, okay, I believe that. But if you do accept that, then you can't really go along with Miss England and the rest of the yes buts and say, oh, gee, maybe it is our fault. We're making good Muslims go bad. Which is it? You, Miss England, are either spot on, as the British say, or you're dead wrong. Because if, God forbid, there's another attack, we won't have any more patience for the yes buts.
Okay. Again, the same tactics, the same American humor, which, by the way, probably many people around the world don't understand the American way of mocking other people, but you do, because that's what was directed at. You know, the way they talk and what they say, they play with your emotions, flying into planes, flying into buildings, you know, right away. Even though 9 years later, we still don't have an investigation of what happened on 9/11. But yet, for 9 years, they drilled garbage like this in your head. For 9 years, they have been drilling. And he's not the only one. And Ann Coulter is not the only one. But that's the kind of mockery and that's the kind of stupidity you have been subjected to in the last 9 years. You know, he compares pedophiles to Muslims, and he's complaining about those good Muslims. So, are those good Christians who blew up little children on the streets of Kabul in Afghanistan? They are nice soldiers? They're nice Christians? You see? It can be done too, but you don't see it. You don't see anyone complaining from the mainstream media. Imagine if Glenn Beck wants to stop the war and wants to stop this nonsense. He could be saying exactly what I just said. Nice soldiers killed 1 million Iraqis. Hey, you know, you can think, wow, nice Christians. Yeah, those couldn't be nice Christians killing 1 million Iraqis for something they didn't do. They have nothing to do with 9/11. Iraqis had nothing to do with 9/11, but yet nice Christian soldiers went to Iraq, to a Muslim country, destroyed the heck out of it for something they did not do. You know, and they convinced you. They really convinced you, and you're probably still convinced that we went to Iraq for good reason. We freed that country from that dictator, that murderer. He killed his own people. How many times I've heard this? It's like he killed his own people. You know, you're repeating this like a freaking parakeet. He killed his own people. So what? We go and kill more of his own people? If he killed, they say, he killed 100,000. So we go and kill 1 million. And we leave his country in shambles. We kill him. We kill his family. I'm talking about Saddam Hussein. And then we leave his country without a government and we say, Adios, amigos. Nice doing business with you. Stupidity. Continue.
Muslim community better find a spokesman who isn't a yes but.
Yeah, me.
They shouldn't even understand the word but, because if they don't, when things heat up, the profiling will only get worse and the razor wire will be coming. That's why tonight, here's what I know. We are sick and tired of the yes but crowd. I don't even care what precedes it. There's no excuse for flying planes into buildings, kidnapping journalists, and random beheadings. You want the profiling to stop? Then here's an idea. Stop murdering innocent people. Stop excusing the people who do. You do that for a while, and I guarantee you won't have any more problems at the airports. Stop blowing stuff up, and the world just might be your oyster.
Stop.
Otherwise,
stop blowing stuff up. Since 9/11, ladies and gentlemen, what has the Muslims blown up? What have they blown up in the United States or elsewhere? What? Now, who has been blowing things up? The United States of America. You want to be respected in the world? You want to be not when somebody looks at your passport and say, oh, American throughout the world? Because Americans used to be respected just because of their passport, just because they are Americans. No more. No more. That passport is not respected anymore in the world. You want to be respected in the world? Stop blowing things up. Very simple. Bring the troops back. Apologize for the killings of all of these civilians in Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iraq. You want to be a nice guy? You want to be a nice American? Stop killing people. Do it.
it's going to be like that movie, The Siege. You remember that movie? The Muslims will see the West through razor wire if things don't change. Tonight's exclusive. In 10 years, Muslims and Arabs will be looking through a razor wire fence at the West.
Okay.
Here's how we got there.
Come back to me
Recently,
forward this. Because we're repeating this. Maybe it's repeated on the thing. I don't know. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and forward it to the next topic. I think people get the idea. You might want to mute that thing. It's coming out to here. I think you get the idea. You know, we had a couple of more videos for Glenn Beck. I wasn't planning on stopping the videos and commenting on the stupidity that you heard, but there was a lot of there's a lot of stupidity in there for the last 9 years. That's what you are being subjected to, which is bashing Muslims, because that's exactly what they want the environment to be. Now we're switching gears and we are going to actually to Palestine, the occupied land of Palestine, where Christians and Muslims are being humiliated by the Israeli Jews, the Israeli army, the Israeli settlers, and the Israeli government. Their homes have been destroyed and are being destroyed as we speak. Families being evicted from their homes, and Israeli settlers are taking up room in these homes. And also it is the olive season, where olive harvesting season, and actually the settlers, that's when they start burning olive groves, Palestinian olive groves, because olive groves, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely, we do have some pictures of settlers actually burning some of these olive groves all over the West Bank. olive groves, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the number one source of income for the Palestinian economy. The Palestinian landscape is beautiful, and it is great for growing olives. So you will see hundreds of thousands, or probably millions of trees, and it is driving the Palestinian economy. So you have settlers come down from the settlements that are normally above these towns, and they burn them. They burn these fields. They also burn mosques. We're going to show you in a little bit the mosques being burnt by these people, by these animals actually. We should not be calling them people. But the next clip we're going to show you, ladies and gentlemen, is where a Palestinian woman who is a prisoner of the Israeli army, and protocols, international protocols, it demands that you actually respect the humanity of the prisoners. And you will see that these Israeli thugs, the Israeli army, they have no scruples, none whatsoever, and they will stop at nothing at denigrating and humiliating Palestinians. Let's play the little clip here. Okay.
Settlers have set up
well, that's the Israeli army for you. Well, we wanted to show you that just to show you, and that's nothing compared to the humiliation that Palestinians go through with this army. We have a couple of pictures where actually Israeli army, lining up people, and it's just a horrible, horrible thing that you don't know anything about it. Now, if this had been Jews who are being humiliated, it will be all over the news. This scene repeats itself every day in Palestinian towns and villages. Every day. That's what an occupation army is. Just imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if you live under these circumstances, where people can come and burn your homes, burn your churches, kidnap your daughters, and humiliate them the way these people do. Don't you think you're going to hear about it in the United States? Why you don't hear about those things in your television programs? Because of the same reason why you hear about Muslims in your television programs. Because these people have an agenda. It's an Israeli agenda. It's a Jewish agenda. It's a Zionist agenda. That's why. Oh, by the way, we did not cover Rick Sanchez. Rick Sanchez, ladies and gentlemen, we were going to do it this week, but we're not going to have time to do it. But Rick Sanchez with CNN, he was in an interview with Pete Dominique, a radio interview. Rick Sanchez was fired by CNN, if you haven't seen him on CNN. Rick Sanchez, actually, he was one of the toughest and straightforward hosts on CNN. What happened to him? He was fired. Why? Because he said this. He was talking about Jon Stewart. And the interviewer was asking him, because Jon Stewart mocks Rick Sanchez a lot, him and Stephen Colbert. And what Jon said, talking about the power that Jon Stewart has, and he said that CNN, now Jon Stewart is Jewish, and he's an elite Jew. And Rick Sanchez made a mistake and talked about the power of the elite Jews. And he said that everybody in CNN, they are like Jon Stewart. And because the interviewer said something about powerless, and he said, are you saying that people like Jon Stewart are powerless? That's what Rick Sanchez says. He said, they're all over CNN, and they're all over the media in the United States. Hopefully next week we will get you a copy of, we will tell you what he said. It's just we have other things that we need to do. But Rick Sanchez was fired from CNN because he said the J word controls the media. Thank God I do not work for anyone. Otherwise, I would have been fired a long time ago, 10 times. That's why independent media is the way out for the United States. Independent media, people who can get you the truth and tell you the truth, that's our only way out, because you're not going to hear this from Fox, you're not going to hear it from CNN, you're not going to hear it from anybody, because they are controlled media. And what Rick Sanchez said, we have been telling you. And many of you say, oh, he believes in that Jewish conspiracy thing. Well, Rick Sanchez said it. And he's out. On the spot. Okay. The next story is the settlers burning Muslim religious places. Play.
And set fire to carpets and several copies of the Quran. The assailants were also seen writing graffiti on the mosque walls. Our correspondent Ramallah gave us more details on the incidents as well as the reaction of the Palestinians.
At least two settlers attacked the mosque by almost, it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and they burned the whole mosque. At least 20 copies of the Holy Quran were burned. And this act is not at all being considered by the Israeli authorities. A small protest spot in the village itself, the village of State Fajar.
The chairman of the Broadcasting Board of Governors, the organization overseeing U.S. media targeting foreign audience.
That's okay. We're not going to have time actually to go on with that final story, which is basically the Broadcasting Board of Governors. That is something that the United States, actually it's a government agency, and Mr. Isaacson, I believe he is the chairman. He's asking for a lot of money. He's asking for like $100 million or something to actually run his organization, which is basically the propaganda arm of the United States government, and basically trying to beautify the face of America in the outside world, and at the same time preventing others from telling you the truth. You know, there are some stations out there that you can actually listen to, and you know, I'm not saying take it as the truth, because remember, very much everybody is probably controlled by an agenda. But when you hear different agendas, at least you will know what agendas are fighting out there. You know, you have RTTV, which is Russian TV. You have Press TV. You have Venezuelan TV. And it's all, you can catch it here in the United States, and it is available on the internet. Just a suggestion, a thought, that you might want to actually go and listen to others on the internet. It's free. You might want to turn off your TV and start listening to satellite channels from international channels, international networks. You might, I'm not saying to take their word, but you might learn something new. At least you will see how the same story is covered by the different medias out there. Going back to the settlers, ladies and gentlemen, let's show the pictures of burnt olives and olive trees. As a matter of fact, what the Israeli army does, they prevent people from putting these fires out when they first start. They even prevented the Palestinian civil defense and firefighters from actually reaching the fire until it basically finished the whole area. And so the settlers started the fire, and then you have the Israeli army comes in and prevent the owners of the land from putting out these fires and prevent the firefighters, the Palestinian firefighters, from reaching these areas. Well, very much tonight, what we just to summarize for you, the dilemma that the American viewer is facing is basically what we are seeing here. Okay, we finished with this picture, guys. Thank you. I think they go to sleep in the control room. And then I'm sitting here looking at a picture and I want to say something else. But I think they did pretty good at, what we, considering what we have to work with. We're not CNN and we're not Fox, and we don't have a lot of people running around and a lot of technicians running around to actually, so don't compare us to the, I don't want to say the pros because I don't really consider them pros. Pros actually is not just how much money you spend in. Pros is what the quality of the product that you are putting out there, and I don't mean how pretty the picture is, I mean the quality of the information that you are bringing out to the people. And that's how I would basically measure the quality of a media personality is by what is he bringing me. I don't care how you look. I don't care how your television, your studio set and how elaborate and what graphics they put behind you. What are you giving me? Or is it we don't really care what's in the package as long as we like the package itself? And that's the mentality, of course. That's the mentality of the American consumer. And probably, it started in America, packaging things for people to accept. And but actually, I'm thinking about like potato chips. Those little potato chips that you buy at the store. If you see how many chips they really have in there, you would probably, they probably can double up the amount of chips they have in there if they just give it to you in a plain bag or something. But, they give you a bag that is worth more than what's inside. And that's exactly how the American media is. They give you something that is, you think, wow, how nice. And, but the quality of the content is horrible. And what I mean by the quality of the content is how truth. I mean, look, when you give in, I can see, even though the human brain really struggles between fiction and reality, because in the movies, you also, if they show you so many movies of how horrible Muslims are, and of course they've been doing this since the 1920s, when they were showing you pictures and movies of Muslims. What did you see Muslims as in the movies? Did you see them as the hero who ends up saving the day? No. You're seeing him as the killer, as the sheikh, the filthy rich Arab sheikh with 5 or 6 women around him, the harem. That's basically how they portrayed the Sultan and how they portrayed Arabs in the movies, even those movies that were not politically motivated movies, but it was, I guess, they wanted you to get a negative idea and a negative impression of Arabs, so that's why you're not going to see an Arab in the movies that is being portrayed in a nice way. So packaging is definitely important to the American consumer, and that's why you don't look at the content anymore. And as a media organization, they should spend more money in bringing you the truth, just like the chips company should concept, because at the end, you really don't give a darn how pretty that bag is. You're going to end up throwing it and tossing it in the garbage. And the same thing when you're watching television program, you know, I don't really care how elaborate the graphics and the studio is and what they show you and whatever. I want content. I want the truth. If you're going to be coming into my living room, then you better be telling me the truth. And unfortunately, the American media does not tell you the truth. It's nothing but lies. The founding fathers meant it when they said freedom of the press. We do not have freedom of the press. It's controlled press. You are controlled. The country is controlled by those who control money. That's not how it was supposed to be. The United States of America was built where the people, it is your right as an American citizen. The Constitution guaranteed it that you are to get the truth of what is happening in the country. But right now, that constitutional right, you know, Glenn Beck fighting for the constitutional right. Well, Glenn Beck, you're the last person who should fight for constitutional rights, because you are killing the Constitution by all the lies that you are giving out there. By everything you are doing, you are killing the Constitution. You want constitutional rights? Then demand free press, which we do not have in this country, which this country is hungry for, and it's been hungry for a long time now. That's what we need. That's the kind of media that we need out there. Not the elaborate Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity to give you these lies and then call themselves the great American. No, America is great by its freedoms. That's what it is. It is not great by the lies. And these are the same people who lied to you to go to war against Iraq, a country that did not do the United States any harm. But that's exactly what we have. These are the same people now that they are singing the Constitution and your constitutional rights. Wake up. Wake up and listen to others, to independent media sources, stations like this, stations like Republic Broadcasting Network, stations, they are all over the internet. Right now, the internet is out there. And normally, it's the people without a lot of money. And that's why the internet has been a savior, and they're trying to control it. So far, we are able to come to you with the truth. I don't know how long this is going to be. I don't know how long this is going to be. But that's the reality in the United States, and Glenn Beck should be out. You should be turning that television program out. You should be taking Fox Network completely out, because it's nothing but lies. And not just Fox, CNN, ABC, NBC, and also MS, what is that thing? NBC, whatever the heck that is, MSNBC. All of these, they're controlled. Even though you find them that they are talking like against each other, but at the end, they're being paid by the same money. They are designed to actually fight each other, to keep powers that be where they're at. Well, that's all we have, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that we were able to give you some truth of what's going on in the world. And until we see you next week, we just have time to say good night, go do the right thing, and just keep the faith until we are free. Good night.
The views and opinions